Hello, my name is Griffin McElroy. Today, I wish to discuss a few data features that differed in Troup County and Muscogee County during the start of COVID-19. As a pre-warning, every data point was taken with both Troup and Muscogee County in mind, or taken during the year of 2020 or 2019 to 2020, depending on what I was taking. The first point I'd like to talk about is the economic difference between the two states. Counties. Muscogee County had about a 21, give or take, poverty rate, while Troup had only about 15. That's not too much of a disparage, especially considering how much larger Muscogee County really is. Though it did kind of start the people being let off during COVID-19 and started causing a lot of poverty rate to drop down. Despite this, however, the overall income increased, though only by a little. For Troup, it was 9.2%, and for Muscogee, it was 7.1%. There wasn't too much of a disparity between the two, though I am personally somewhat surprised there was an increase at all in either. Now, agriculture had a very vast difference between the two counties, but I'm unsurprised entirely. This was taken with the farm gate value, which is the value of the farmland subtracted by the selling price. Troup's was over $27 million, while Muscogee's was only $679,000. As you can see, this graph shows a very large difference. I'm not very surprised by this, however, as Muscogee is mostly city, and Troup is almost entirely farmland. And so since Troup has just so much more in general, I am unsurprised by how much of a difference there is. Now here, I think, in my opinion, is the most interesting points between the two counties during this year. Each of these data points here were taken between 2019 and 2020, and then we took the percentages, the percentage raised between 2019 and 2020. Troup's increased by 39.5%, which is a rather severe increase. However, more so, Muscogee decreased by 84%. That is an insanely large number, and it likely comes from a few factors. You would think hopefully maybe the police force had a large portion to do with this, and maybe they could keep this up and continue decreasing the crime rate as the years went on. Though I believe a more plausible solution is that since Muscogee County has Columbus State University, most of its civilians are from Columbus State University, and during COVID, the shutdown happened and many people were sent home. So I believe just since so many of the younger generation were sent home, they either weren't able to report crimes or commit them in either way. And this caused for a severe drop. And likely the reverse happened for Troup, where a lot of people from different colleges were coming home and they're stuck home all the time. And now that they're back in Troup County, they likely was a slight increase. Next is the education rate. This is the K-12 enrollment from 2020 to 2021, and not much of a difference, to be honest. There was only a drop in about 0.2% for Troup and 2.2% for Muscogee. While Muscogee's is a bit higher, both are very surprisingly low for the enrollment rate. With Troup being almost zero, it's almost a negligible difference, to be honest. Though, I had expected a severe drop because I would have expected a lot of parents to not want to put their kids in the schooling system, though maybe online sources were able to make up for it. Next, I want to talk about health. This was only taken in 2020, and it's civilians under the age of 65. About 16.4% of Troup County's residents are uninsured, while 15.8% of Muscogee County's residents are unemployed. Uninsured. Barely any sort of a difference, though a bit nicer for Muscogee County, though I would have expecting a severe increase in insurance rates, and I expected this number to be quite a lot lower since this is the prime of the pandemic and everyone's beginning to get worried if they'll be able to survive or if they get sick or anything horrible happens. Next, I wanted to talk about labor. very minor differences. Muskogee's was a 7.8% unemployment, and Troup's is a 7.2% unemployment. This is likely for both counties an increase from the previous year due to many people getting laid off at the beginning of COVID-19, though only a marginal difference between the two. It appears that both counties realistically were affected about the same. Next, I want to talk about the population, and there's negligible difference, to be honest. Muscogee increased by 0.18% and Troup increased by 0.22%. Both are less than a percent, and the only reason Troup's is higher is because Troup has significantly less people, less than half to begin with. And so any increase would have meant more for Troup than it would have for Muscogee. This seems pretty average and not too out of the ordinary. In conclusion, both counties really were affected about the same. Troup overall in more categories ended up scoring better than Muscogee, though in many of those categories, like the 0.2% to the 2.2% K-12 enrollment, was so negligible that it really didn't seem like much differed between the two. The only really interesting of the two facts was the incredibly drop and increase of crime rate between both counties. And I believe that Muscogee County should look back towards this time to see what's causing that severe drop. If it is just the schooling and the university there, then there isn't much they can do. But if there was something different with the police force or the crime rate in some sort of way, if they could reproduce that, I think that would be very nice for the county. And I think Troup could learn quite a significant amount. But overall, if you're interested in the sources I use, these were all taken from georgiadata.org, and you're able to go there yourself if you'd like to learn any more or learn about different counties affected by COVID-19 or maybe a different year of sorts. But either way, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.